One of the things that we all hate the most about bead weaving, I know that 99.9% of it we love, but there are those couple little things, and one of them is knots in our thread. Oh, isn't that just so frustrating? So I wanted to talk to you today about those naughty knots, how to get them out, how to prevent them from happening. So let's take a closer look here at the beads. Here I am, I'm working along, and I just pulled this thread through these beads, and look what I've got right here. This is a knot starting to form. And in this case, I noticed it before it closed all the way down. So this is the perfect scenario. If you're going to start having a knot and you start kind of feeling that resistance as you're pulling it through beads, stop. Don't resist the urge to keep pulling it through the bead, because when you pull it through the thread, through the bead, what's going to happen is it's all going to tighten up and close down. So right here, I'm in a good position where I can just kind of make sure that this doesn't go all the way through. I can kind of go, okay, what's going on here? And here I am. It just looks like my thread got looped. I can unloop it, and voila, I got it out with no problem. So, like I said, that's best case scenario. Okay, so let's talk about what happens if you have a worst case scenario. And not only do I have this knot, but we're gonna involve the tail here. I have never actually purposely made a knot before. This is kind of going, my innards are going, no, don't do it. Okay, so here we go. We got this knot. Now what are we gonna do? Okay, well, the tail just doesn't want to be a part of it, but you've got this knot here. And so here's a couple of tips when you get a knot, how to make it as least painful as possible. Number one, magnification. So this is, if you're not already wearing your glasses, put some reading glasses on. That's going to allow you to get a really good close-up of the knot so you can see where the threads are going. If you have one of those round magnifiers that sits on your table, make sure you're using it. Make sure that you've got good lighting. And so if you need to bring in an extra light near your work table, or if you need to take this to good light so that you can see what's going on, that will make a big difference. Here's another thing that makes a difference, an awl. This is my favorite tulip awl. Some of them are this green kind of seafoam color, some of them are pink. It's all the same thing. And the awl, because it's got this tapered tip, sometimes what you can do, sometimes it's even better than trying to use the needle to get into that knot and wiggle it open, because if you can get that tip of the awl in there, then you can just work it down the what am I trying to say? The taper, the point, you can work it down the point, and that opens up the knot for you. So now, there we go. Now you can actually see that knot in there. So that gave us some wiggle room to work with. So you can either continue to work with the awl, or you can go back and work with your needle. Something else that you can do is bring in a second needle. And so sometimes that will work well too. Well, it helps if you use the sharp end of the needle instead of the eye. We're just going to pretend like that didn't have to happen on camera for everybody to see. Okay, so I don't do the two needle very well because I'm not very, there we go. I said that, and there we go. So now I've loosened it to the point where I can see where the threads are going. I can loop this back out, and like so. So that's my suggestions, is magnification and lighting. The awl works great at opening that knot up. So you just get that tip into the center of the knot, you kind of wiggle around, find it, work that awl in, which opens the spacing, and then you can go back in with your needle or your awl and tease out that end and chase that end out around. Those are things that work for me, and I think they'll probably work for you. If frequently when that knot happens, it's this end that we fold over that will kind of whip around your working thread. And if you find that you have a thread a pull, a certain pull that's doing that a lot, one of the things you can do is use a wax. You can use beeswax, you can use microcrystalline wax. That's going to make the two threads stick together more, which means that you're not going to have that whip around quite as much. Conversely, the other thing that you can use is a product called Thread Heaven. It seems like it would do the same thing as the beeswax, but it's actually is treated so that it actually makes those two ends repel each other. Instead of sticking together, it makes them repel each other. So that's another thing that you can use. It just has a slightly different form in which it works, but that also will sometimes keep your thread from tangling. I hope that helps you next time you get one of those horrible knots. Just have a little patience.